Hi, I'm Joel Monet from the band Circuitry, and you're listening to Metal Wani.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Christian Colabelli from Circuitry, and you're listening to Metal Wani.
Greetings from India, and how are you guys doing today?
Very well, and yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. Do you want to introduce yourself so that we can tell whose voice is which?
Definitely. I'm Joel, the singer, and I play bass on the album.
And I'm Christian, the guitar player, and I
Uh,
play guitar
all right.
On the album.
on the album.
And live.
Your new self-titled debut album was released just about 2 weeks ago. And how does it finally feel to be able to put your music out there for the masses to catch? And I mean, they even get to listen and judge. So, it's the dream come true, but how does it feel?
It's been a very fulfilling experience so far.
uh, yeah, we took the album took basically a year, to get together and put out, and I don't know. There was a point where I think we wanted to kill each other. We were trying to get it perfect, and just to finally have it out there and say we're abandoning this for a while is a good feeling.
All right. So, kill each other. I heard that part. So, do you want to tell us about what happened there? And how is it? I mean, you're a new band, you're like really new. So, how has it been working together, and how did you guys form, and how did everything just pan out the way you wanted to?
Well, the killing each other part, I'm sure what Christian was talking about was when, and this was after we had finished all of the, writing and recording of the album, was just the mixing phase of the album.
Okay.
And we did it all ourselves. And with that, we saved a lot of money and we learned a lot about, about our craft and
Yeah.
stuff. But also, it was a fairly stressful endeavor mixing the album ourselves, just getting it perfect to our own standards. So
Yeah.
I think I'm very happy with the end result. But man, we learned a lot in the process for sure.
All right.
And basically, the band was formed. Matt and I, Matt is the drummer,
Yeah.
had played together in Dark Empire, which
Yeah.
was another progressive metal band, but like completely different genre. It sounded more like Symphony X, and we were basically hired on as studio musicians, and we played in that, and it was going pretty good. And then the band basically broke up, disbanded, and Matt and I were like, well, man, we gotta keep playing. So we get together at his house every Saturday or like twice a week. It was the summer, and we basically would just write songs, and we realized really quickly that we had something, special.
Yeah.
It just kind of worked out, like these songs were coming together really quick. And then Joel and I had played together, and still play together in another band called Reach, which is
Yeah.
more of an alternative, like straight ahead, or not straight ahead, but more. It's not metal. Let's say that it's got
Yeah.
kind of elements of everything. But so Joel put his stank on the songs,
Woo!
and then it all came together from there. It's perfect.
All right. The image of you guys being a progressive band, and the
Oh,
music that you guys play and everything, is it something that you'd always decided that, okay, like you've worked in an alternative band and you've worked in a progressive band. Did you know what you wanted to work out with, or is it something that just happened over a period of time?
Yeah, I think that's definitely something we wanted, but at the same time, we were trying to go for also more of a melodic thing as well. Like, want those big, uh, dare I say, kill switch engage level choruses, along with the progressive and experimental and super rhythmic vibe of the verses and bridges that we have in this music as well.
I mean, I when I was first writing this, I just wanted it to be the heaviest thing on the planet, but I wanted people to be able to have access to it. I think in all the metal bands that I played with and played shows with, whatever, come across, I've seen so many performances, and I always thought the one thing that was lacking was a coherent song structure, and also I kind of knew I wrote these songs based, which I never do. I always write these grandiose guitar parts, but I kind of tried to write guitar parts that I would be completely comprehensive of lead style playing and rhythm. So I wanted something that went through every spectrum of guitar playing and was just very rhythmic. So I think, those two aspects coming together, and of course Matt is a visionary with some of these drum parts, and
Okay. Yeah.
I think that was just natural for us. This is what came out. I don't think we're like we got to do this. You
Okay.
know.
Yeah. And tell me about the reception. How have people been responding to them? I mean, it's just what, about 2 weeks since the album was out on the 4th of November, right?
Correct.
Yes.
So,
The response has been overwhelmingly positive. There have been a few people here and there who have said like, "Oh, this sounds like Periphery," or they didn't like it for one reason or another because of blast beats or because it wasn't all screaming or something. And to those people, I would challenge them to listen to the whole album rather than the one song that they're harping on in their review. But regardless of that, the overwhelming response has been positive in my experience, at least.
Yeah, I think for me too. I don't think I've had this positive response ever. I'm always throwing
Yeah.
music at my friends, and they know we're constantly like we'll sit here and we'll write songs, song after song after song. But with this, it seems
They've
like
been coming to us
yeah,
on this record, and that's totally different.
yeah. And even the shows we've played thus far. The crowd has been awesome. I mean, it's energized me to play.
Yeah.
It's tough with Reach. We're playing this kind of alternative music, but the demographic here where we live
Yeah.
wasn't really receptive to it. And then we,
And the ones that are receptive to it want to sit in the audience and
and listen.
study it. Yeah, and that's
Yeah, man.
we're really enjoying that the people that come out to these shows are taking it on an intellectual and a visceral level and just going nuts
Yeah,
in the audience. It's really cool.
We've seen a couple amazing mosh pits break out, and that's when you know you're doing something right.
right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, you were speaking about modern progressive and periphery and a lot of things. I think one of the things that all the modern progressive bands do is they tend to overproduce and they make the music sound so polished, but you guys sound so it's still so raw, and you still feel those elements of metal. So,
Well, that's awesome.
That's a huge compliment.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's a huge compliment
We
for us.
tried to toe the line between that. There's definitely, we want things to sound polished, but we also want it to sound fucking heavy as balls, That's for lack of a better term, I suppose.
It's also funny that you should broach that because we've heard both in positive reviews in terms of the production and really terrible reviews saying that
It is
this
overproduced.
no, actually I've had guys say this is not as good production as like a band like Periphery, which is ridiculous that we keep getting measured to these guys because
I think that's always going to happen, though. Those guys are in a similar genre.
whatever.
It's like comparing an EDM guy to a dubstep guy. And, they've come from pretty much the same background. Like, fine, whatever. I don't care. I just want to go play music, and this is what comes out, and we're having a lot of fun. And seeing the audiences go nuts is really encouraging. And I remember you asked what our plan is, and I don't think we really answered that. So I'll answer it now. My plan right now is just to go out and play shows and have a lot of fun. And we're already writing tunes for another record, and those are coming along great. But aside from that, the plan is just to play shows, get on festivals, and maybe even get on a big tour, hopefully without having to, do a buy-on that costs us $6,000.
get us to India.
There we go.
yeah, I
Do
was
that.
I was just gonna ask you next, is India ever going to be on your list? I mean,
I sure hope so. I want to
would
see
love
the
to go to
the
India.
power lines over there. I've heard stories about the power lines that they're just terrifying.
Um, Actually,
Of
that's
all the
great.
things you've heard stories of the power line, I am so. I thought you would go like Taj Mahal or the Indian food or something, but no, it's the
No,
power.
I,
we're not that polarizing.
Yeah, no, I've enjoyed a lot of Indian food, fortunately. So I've already experienced a small portion of that, I'm sure. But the pictures of you guys' power lines are just that's the one thing that's stuck in my memory. I think it's hilarious.
I want to go. I want to take a dip in the Ganges,
Yeah, yeah.
fight
That
off the bull.
Get
see,
Ebola because apparently they have Ebola now too.
Oh man, we got Ebola.
it's,
Everyone's got
I
it.
mean,
Yeah,
the Ganges still makes sense, but the power lines, I am so stuck on that. I'm just like, why does he want to see that? Of
I'll send you a picture in text just so you know what I'm talking about because now I'm embarrassed.
Uh,
no, it's
I
okay, no worries.
actually, we actually have. I have a an Indian fellow that always seems to message me about guitar stuff, and he's a big Circuitry fan. So I mean, I told him that we were going to try to get over there.
How ridiculous
He
does this
actually
look?
ordered an album, so we're shipping it there. Oh my god, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, dude, their power lines are out of
Yeah,
control.
what is going on there?
Oh, I'm about to send you a picture. I'm not sure if this is where you live or not, but oh my God.
I think you
That
should
doesn't look.
send me a picture so that when the interview is actually streaming, we can have that image pop up on the screen.
Oh my God. The interview is actually streaming through these power lines.
Yeah,
All right, coming back to the interview.
Yeah,
yeah.
well, oops.
Yeah. So production. So how did you guys decide that okay, I'm going to draw the line here, and this is where the production has to stop, and this is the part that's going to be raw? For me, I think the rawness to music is really to metal specifically is really important because that is what gives it the
Great.
heaviness. So where do you
Well, I
guys
started. I'm sorry, keep going.
where do you guys draw the line? That's my question.
Well, I started getting into DAW-based recording when I was about 11 years old, and I started working on that in Sony Acid, which was then owned by a company called Sonic Foundry, and then was bought out by Sony, and have just kind of been experimenting with various, like electronic and rock-based production techniques. And Matt started probably about 3 or 4 years ago, and
Okay.
is now taking classes for it as well. And obviously, we've moved on to bigger and better software since then. But it's trial and error, really. I mean, you got to make a bunch of recordings to make to make good recordings. I feel like.
Okay. So, still, like when you're actually, working on the track and you're polishing it and you're cleaning things out and you're, doing whatever, how important do you think it is to balance it out? And what do you think is a balanced track according to
Oh,
you
I think it's
guys?
super important. In fact, one of the biggest things that I was a stickler about in these mixes was getting the EQ correct across the widest spectrum of devices, like listening to it on industry standard monitors and in headphones and in car systems. Christian was a real stickler for making sure that it sounded good in cars and stuff. So, I mean,
Yeah, because think about it. That's where a lot of people are going to be listening to
yeah.
to music when they're driving around, and also, they're listening on their phones or iPods or when they're on commuting. I mean, so they're not going to be listening on the most expensive stereo set that you can get. No, that's not the
Well,
norm.
and I'll throw this in here, and this is actually a cool thing for the gear nerds here. That one of my favorite things about this record, and it was the first record that I've done like this, was that it was mixed on the Yamaha NS10 monitor, which is I don't know how much you know about production, but every important record since the 1980s has been mixed on that speaker. And it's not the best sounding speaker in the world, but it's just something about it
Yeah.
allows it to translate to other devices well. If a record is mixed on NS10s, it's probably going to sound good. And we were very fortunate to be able to mix on that speaker.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
a lot of people are going to really appreciate that. But
Yeah,
I
the speaker is called the Yamaha NS10M, and
Insane.
yeah, just so you get the spelling right on it, but it's very very popular in the mixing and mastering world, and obviously we used it in conjunction with a subwoofer, so we could hear the low content as well. But that was really the thrust of how we were able to pick out a lot of the, super fine details in there.
Okay. I'm sorry, Christian, but my favorite part of the album were Joel's vocals, and
Yes,
and
right. First in your face.
First time, the first time for
Yeah,
everything.
we've never gotten that review before, but I am just basking in it right now. I'm just soaking it all in.
That's good, man.
you know,
Righteous.
I really appreciated your blend of the cleans and the growls, and I think Amin had the perfect amount of processing on it again. But
Well,
how did?
thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. But how did you manage to make it sound that perfect? How?
Well, it's just a matter. I mean, like we said, it took us a year to do the album. So, being able to, like you hear that great albums like Def Leppard's Pyromania took 9 months to produce the vocals alone. And obviously, I didn't spend 9 months on vocals, but it is safe to say I probably spent 4 or 5 months on vocals.
Okay.
And with that, fortunately, my day job is music, and I do a couple other things that are computer based as well to make money. So fortunately, I'm not having to grind as hard as some of these other guys. So I was able to spend a lot of my time sitting here getting the perfect lyrical content to be at least my own preference. Like it was a whole new undertaking. I've never done a record like this before. I've done pop punk stuff, I've done proggy stuff, I've done alternative stuff, and Christian believed in me enough to give me the opportunity to do this record with him. And I was going to do it to the best of my ability, and I really sat down and just tried things out. When they didn't sound good, man, I was going to delete it, and that's how, like Freddie Mercury, you listen to Bohemian Rhapsody, that's, uh, I think that's like 122 takes in that
Yeah.
song, and I'm not sure if we got to that level per song, but I mean, when you have the ability to sit in your own home studio and get a good quality result, you are fortunate enough to be a perfectionist. So I really wanted it to sound good without all of the super glitchy sounding artifacts of all that crazy pitch correction that everybody uses. So I sat there and just worked on it until it sounded good coming at me naturally, and then process it. There's a motto that goes around in the software and the audio worlds that is garbage in, garbage
Garbage
out.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. If you put garbage in, it doesn't matter how much you clean it up, it's going to sound like shit coming out. That's my
Yes.
southern accent coming out. That was amazing.
But yeah, now that you mentioned that your pop punk influences and your alternative influences, that makes a lot of sense because I could actually figure that out. But I'm going to come back to Christian again. Christian,
Due to it.
I, I did appreciate your work too. I really did. One of the things that I really liked is the guitars were really groovy and they had these kind of electronic elements in them, and they sounded really poppy, and I think that gave a new element to circuitry, and I think that was brilliant. So how did you come up with that?
Well, again, thank you. First of all, that's very, very kind of you. I mean, I think the whole okay when we were playing in Dark Empire, Matt and I.
Ooh, excuse me.
Whoa.
the, yeah, that's a man. Those power lines are killing. Uh, the we were playing in Dark Empire, and there was no groove. Literally, it was just straight ahead Euro metal, and I think Matt and I are. That's just so unnatural. It's so unnatural for both of us to try to play like that. I mean, for me, that type of style that is employed on the Circuitry album it's just way more. It's way more of who I am as a guitar player. I listen to a ton of jazz and fusion music, and that tends to be way groovier, and I wanted that. I wanted that to translate in the music, and like just as Joel worked on his vocals tirelessly, I kind of did the same thing, and I'd lock myself away in my room and would write these riffs, and I went, I took it pretty slow. Like I'd come up with an idea, and then I'd make sure that I don't know. You just sometimes you know when something's right and when something's not, and I kind of until I thought it was 100% right, I wouldn't bring it to the table. But I'm telling you, I work these things out to just a ridiculous degree,
I
and
can attest to that. We
yeah,
live in the same house.
you
This
know,
guy's an absolute maniac.
and probably
He's
hurt me.
he's an obsessive compulsive freak of a human being, and I love that about him. But it's also just it's one of the craziest experiences to be around every day of your
Yeah,
life.
it's very debilitating because I think it holds me back in a lot. I can never just kind of like let go. It's got to always be, it's just got to be right, you know. And he probably heard me cursing and screaming. And when I screw up
I
riffs
did.
and stuff, I go absolutely nuts. Like, I hate screwing up. Um, but
You
I mean,
should work with this guy in the studio. It is one of the most infuriating and just hilarious and most rewarding experiences you could ever have, all in one just hodgepodge of insanity. It's hilarious.
but I think also you said that poppy, and I to me that's a compliment. Like I want. I don't care if it's super technical or if it is super technical. It doesn't matter to me. I'd rather have someone like you, who's listening to for the first time, take something away and be able to like
Hmm.
hum a song or hum a part and capture that. So I'm never trying to play over the listener's head, I guess. And I think that was a huge part of this album.
Oh yeah.
I really wonder what Matt would say to, Joel being a perfectionist and you being obsessively compulsive and all of that. But
Oh,
He's just as bad, if not worse.
Matt is probably the worst out of all of us.
He gets so irrationally angry when he can't do something perfectly right. It's
He's almost
hilarious.
paranoid. You
Yeah.
know, he's an absolute lunatic.
Well,
of a human
Matt
being.
is he's considerably younger than both of us too. He's like going to be 21 soon, and the kid is just an absolute prodigy at what he does. He's great at drums. He's a good guitar player. He's a pretty good bassist, and he's getting even better at the production stuff too. So
And we also, I don't let Matt come up for air. I basically hammer him into the ground. I never let him. I'll always put him in check and just slap him around a little bit and make sure
he's young, but
you
he's
know.
man, he is a prodigy. We cannot
We
stress
couldn't
that
have done
enough.
the album with that. I
No,
mean, these songs would never have come out.
his
without
style contributed so much to the flavor of this album, and that's why it sounds so different from our other stuff to an extent.
which was like all of your favorite songs? Like you can go one at a time and then you can tell me Matt's favorite song too.
Horizon was one of the first ones I did vocals on. I think I did Horizon and States of Existence first.
Okay.
That Horizon was the second one I wrote on guitar.
Yeah,
Actually.
it was definitely the first one that I wrote on vocals. That's cool. It's a very unique song on the album. Not the other. It's also the only song with a 6-string guitar. All the other ones have 7-string guitars.
Yep, that's the
Little
only-
fun fact there for you.
That one's actually just standard tuning, drop to D. So drop D, I guess.
Drop D tuning on a.
Drop D tuning, and I don't know with Horizon, that tapping part in there, that real like
Yeah. Yeah.
crazy thing that I basically wrote the
Yeah.
song off of that riff, and I thought that was cool because
Hell
I
yeah.
don't really think I've heard a band play something like that. So I thought that was kind of unique, you know.
Also, it has that subtle but effective slap bass line that goes up
Oh,
underneath
totally.
it as
That
well.
makes it-
Yeah, it's not a hard part to play, but the slapping on it is pretty unique compared to the style of playing I was doing on the rest of the album, bass wise as well.
What is your favorite song, Joel?
My favorite song, well, it depends. You're talking about my favorite song to listen to or my favorite song to play, I love singing States of Existence. I love singing Horizon. I love I I really don't even have a favorite song. I have least favorite songs, I guess. My
I would agree.
Let's
Yeah,
hear that. Let's hear that.
my least favorite song right now is probably The One Who Knocks and Unplug. And that's just because they're but honestly, I enjoy doing Unplug live.
Yeah,
It's just not
it's
my favorite
heavy,
song
man.
to listen to, you know?
Okay.
He's right. They have a totally different connotation when you're playing these things live. Because,
Yeah.
like States of Existence, I find it hard for me to sit and listen to, but we play it live, and it is, man, it is
Man. Woo!
huge sounding.
For the record, I don't find it hard to listen to. I really enjoy listening to that one.
Yeah, I'd say I guess my favorites are probably Perfect Vision.
I love singing that
Perfect
one.
Vision is cool, and
Man.
I like Safe Words too because of the guitar part. I think I
Safe
just
Words is a good warm-up song before some of the harder ones to sing.
for me that's the
For sure.
hardest. That's probably the hardest one to play. That's crazy.
All right.
Mm.
I'm just gonna put it in. Christian, I think Horizon is the one that had the poppiest guitars, and which is why I actually liked it the best. So you get
That's cool.
That's good.
you.
It's super melodic, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We'll do more of that stuff in the future for sure.
Yeah. We definitely have more of that style coming along.
So now that you know this album is done, do you guys have any solid touring as to where you're going to be playing anytime soon? Like, where are you heading to next, and the next, and the next, and when is the album work going?
Well, we're going to be heading to New Jersey, and then to New Jersey, and then we'll probably play in New Jersey again.
We're playing a lot of local shows right now. Just we just opened up for Affiance. I don't know if you know who they are,
No.
but they're signed to Bullet Tooth Records and they've been touring around. But I mean, I think our goal right now is to keep getting this following, and it's happening. Like I'm watching it happen. I mean, before we go out on the road, really go out on the road, which I'd like to maybe explore this summer with either festivals or.
I'm certain we're going to be exploring it this summer, but the trick is just not going broke doing it. The trick is
Yeah.
making back enough money to make it worth really going out there and busting our asses doing it.
I mean, also Joel is saying that because it's absolutely ridiculous how many bands are going on the road
And paying to go on the road.
Yeah,
It's not a living anymore. People don't do it as a job anymore. People do it just because they have trust funds and stuff.
Yeah, if you're paying to go out, you're not really making money doing music, which is,
You're not going to because you're setting a precedent.
you know, obviously we do this. We love music. I wouldn't be existing without music, but I mean,
Neither
I
would
want
I.
to freaking get paid for it. You know, we put in a lot of time into
Yeah.
this, so you know that I guess we've seen so many of our friends' bands basically make no money and owe so much because they went out and toured.
That is the problem. You owe so much money, and then your product gets shelved,
Yeah.
and you're, left with your thumb up your ass, for lack of a better term. And what? Yeah, right. That's always a good way.
So you,
Yeah, I mean, like, what? How are we gonna do it by ourselves to not let that happen to us? Has really just been our outlook on this from the very beginning.
do you have any
So we
specific?
gotta be.
Yeah.
Say that one more time, please.
No, go ahead and then I'll ask you.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, how are we going to do that without all those things happening to us? And the answer is that unfortunately we have to be those quote unquote posers that are concerned about money. And if you aren't concerned about money in this industry, you're going to get screwed. That's the end of the day deal. And we're tired of spending a lot of money to get played and to play, so we're going to focus on that. And hopefully there's going to be somebody out there who appreciates what we do enough to, help us bring this to the world.
But I forgot to ask you this. Joel, you also play the bass, and how difficult is that on stage?
Oh, I don't play bass on stage. I just play bass on the album.
So are you planning to get on another bassist for, or are you
We
planning?
actually have a guy. We have a guy who's auditioning right now.
We actually, believe it or not, we actually have another guy who's doing who's auditioning for guitar too. So we may potentially have a 5-member band, but if we don't, I mean, it doesn't matter. We're really
Yeah,
getting
it
the vibe
sounds
of the
pretty
show.
good as a three-piece,
Yeah,
but
it sounds huge.
Yeah.
I definitely would at least like to have a second guitarist by the time that we go on the road, for sure.
Okay, so you basically planning to go for a 5-piece band if that works out.
That's the ultimate
Yeah,
goal.
I think so. I mean, I think that would definitely be the most convincing.
The
for sure.
bassist, though, and I've said this before, the bassist would have to almost be the most talented member of the band, just because the bass has so much potential to throw Matt off of the beat
Yeah.
that it could almost do more harm than good if the guy isn't perfect. So we have to find the absolute perfect person for the job.
So how is the search going so far? Have you managed?
Very well, actually. I got two guys supposedly learning the parts. One who I really think actually has the potential of possibly doing it.
In terms of guitar, the guy,
We got the next guitarist.
yeah, the guy is incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, and I don't know if I can reveal it yet, but it's going
He's
to.
from a very popular band already. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah,
Oh,
and he approached me about this, so
Yeah, we didn't ask him. He came to us,
so
so
I'm
it's very
confident.
exciting.
Apparently,
Yeah.
next Saturday he'll supposedly know all the songs, so we'll see.
okay. So I have to congratulate you guys once again for everything, and I really hope everything works out for you guys, you know. But for now, I'm giving you both one line each to tell our listeners why circuitry is awesome, and why in fact, you know, the future of music is something that circuitry is going to like conquer. So like,
Hey, circuitry is awesome because we aren't afraid of the labels that people are afraid of in metal. We're going to explore the music that we want to explore without worrying about being called sellouts or posers or any of that. I think it's very important just to do what is in your heart and share it with the world. And that's exactly what we want to do. Over and out. That's me.
I think circuitry is important because we're going to be uncompromising, and we're going to, at the end of the day, we're going to put out music that we want to put out that is honest, and we don't. We
It's
really
not
don't care.
pretentious.
We
yeah,
don't care what people think, honestly, at the end of the day. And I mean, I personally know that when we put this album out, it was one of the happiest moments of my life because I
Yes.
know I am honestly proud of everything that I did on that album, and I just think that we're always going to try to push boundaries. Nobody in this band is satisfied ever, and it's a really great working environment. I mean, that was a terrible answer, but you get the gist of what I'm
I
saying.
think it's good.
I think it was a brilliant answer. I really do. Um, but
Thank
thank you so much, both of you. It was so nice talking to you.